What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Fantasy Football RPG podcast. I'm here with my great co-host, Mike, as always. How are you doing, my man?
I'm fantastic. We're right in the thick of rookie season, and I love talking about these prospects, arguing about these prospects, but I've grown a little bit in the last year. I'm ready to be wrong. I'm not going to stick to my player takes as strongly, but I am going to lean in where I have a strong feeling.
Look at that, Mike. I appreciate a little bit of growth. I just turned 30, as you may have known. So, I'm growing older as well here. But some of you might notice we have somebody else on the screen tonight. This is our good friend, Jake. Mike, turn to the other side, please, sir. It looks like you're wearing something that might be a little heavy over there, Jake.
Yeah.
What you got on?
I'm not 30 yet. So I'm still ready to go to war. So I've got my entire chest rig on. I got body armor plates in. Everything's loaded. I'm ready to go. I got a tourniquet even, just in case. I'm ready to go to war for some of these players.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate having you here, Jake. And for those that haven't figured it out, haven't put it together yet, Jake is going to be a new co-host of the show for the time being. As long as he'll be here rocking with us, we will happily have him as a co-host to get through the summer, to get through this rookie season, and hopefully continue to get through next NFL season. But with that, what are you here for tonight? You're here for rookie rankings. All right, so we're going to go through a tier maker list. Mike's got that fired up here. We're going to go through. You got the 101. If anybody tells you the 101 is anything different than this man, Ashton Genty, they're wrong. Don't listen to them. Just unsubscribe. Move on from their show. Move on from their podcast, their Twitter. Just move and come over here. All right. We're here to make you feel good about all of these draft picks, but we got some other tiers here that we're going to talk about. We got the early first pick. So these are going to be guys valued with a early first that we think you should be using high draft capital on. We got mid to late first. All right. We feel like there's a relatively good tier distinction here. And then we got second rounders and third rounders. I know some of you might be out there. Oh, well, my 201 is so much more valuable than my 210. All right, we understand. This is why we're doing a large grouping of the tier. You'll hear us talk about in the show what all is going down within that tier. But we appreciate you being here. And Jake, as our esteemed guest, now that I took the best player in this draft already off the board, who do you want to put up there?
Yeah, I mean, Cam Ward absolutely deserves to be up there. I know a lot of people want to dog on his profile. I truly don't get it. I think he's been my quarterback one in this class for a couple of years now. I think a lot of people are just kind of treating it like they did Justin Herbert out of Oregon. Like the offense, I think the offense let him shine, but I don't think it took the best parts of his game into consideration in a lot of ways. And I think it's pretty clear Ward's, I think now the betting favorite to be the 101. He's got a private workout coming up with Tennessee. So yeah, if you're waiting to take Cam Ward past anything other than 102, you're giving value away, especially in Superflex.
Yeah, love the call out, Jake. Let's also remember Tennessee signed some offensive linemen this year. So it may not be a bunch of turnstiles out there. They may be able to give whoever their quarterback ends up being, 2.5, maybe 3 seconds to actually throw the ball this year, which would be great to be able to see. Mike, you have any thoughts?
I would like to propose something, and this is a new thought to me. I've gone through this whole draft cycle saying the quarterbacks aren't that great. Don't worry about it. The quarterbacks aren't that great. Don't worry about it. Look, I love Cam Ward's game, and I love the killer effect that he has. If you guys haven't watched the prospect profile series on him, go check that out. Let's say he goes 101 to Tennessee, and then we see them truly attack their offense through the rest of the draft. We're talking they're taking interior offensive linemen. They're taking maybe another depth tackle. They take, let's throw out Jaden Higgins, Alec Manor, a couple of those like mid-tier wide receivers that we feel pretty strongly could be good. Would there be consideration for either of you to take him 101 in a Superflex league?
No.
It's in this draft cycle, if I were planning to take Cam Ward 101, I would just try and trade the 101 for a 102 and get anything that I can on top of it.
Okay.
Be it hopefully it's a second. If somebody's that badly wanting Genty at the 102, maybe they're going to pay me, a little bit more than that. I'll take a future pick even. It's just one of those things where like the clear 101 tier is Genty. So anything past that, if you want to take somebody else in that at the top or at the top of that tier, trade back and get that extra value.
Just wanted to throw that thought process out there.
I like it though.
I'm on the same page, but there's people at home that are wondering. I'll just go ahead real quick. I'm going to put my boy up there, Omarion Hampton. Look, if Genty didn't exist, we'd be all fired up about Omarion Hampton. Great counting stats, absolute thumper, ball security, yards after contact. All like this is just Najee Harris with rocket boosters on his feet in a complimentary way. So yeah, he's not the sexiest pick in the world. Like he's not the Jahmyr Gibbs where he has sick dreadlocks and he's breaking 19 tackles on his way to outrun 9 people. But like he's going to be a workhorse in the NFL. There's first round consideration. I think that he's very worthy of an early first.
Okay. Appreciate the takes, Mike.
I would have put RB2 up there before RB3 personally, but
it's all look. I like your RB2 too, so we'll get into that later.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with the wide receiver 1 in this class. If anybody tells you the wide receiver 1 is anything other than Tet McMillan,
this is why I wear body armor.
Yep. Here it comes. Here it comes.
They are not watching enough of what he did with Noah Fafita, because Noah Fafita was horrendous this past season.
Certified cheeks.
He put the team on his back. All right. Tet said, if it's not going to me, then we're not doing anything. So he knows what it's like to be relied on, to be able to have to make every play on the outside, to be able to have to come down with the 50-50 balls, to be able to truly go against double coverage, to go against the inside out coverage, to be bracketed all over the field. He saw that in college already. Yes, it is not the insane wide receiver class that we are used to. Get over it. Tet is still the wide receiver 1 in this class. He is still deserving of a early first round pick.
This is Ja'Cory Krosky merit erasure, and I won't stand for it. But no, I like Tet a lot, but I know Jake has another wide receiver 1, so we'll let you just go ahead and ooze about him real quick.
Yeah, the wide receiver 1 in this class is Emeka Egbuka. I mean, I understand what Tet's done. I understand the situation with the offense, the quarterback, everything about it. Egbuka is a more complete wide receiver to me. He's been everybody's wide receiver 1 in this class essentially since his freshman year. Like we've been raving about this guy for years now. Tet flew onto a lot of people's radars last year. This year, we still love him. I think they're a tier of wide receiver. I don't think Egbuka is like his own tier of wide receiver like Genty is his own tier of running back. I just think Egbuka is more likely to succeed in an NFL offense because I think he's a little bit more versatile, and we can see Egbuka used in, I don't want to compare him to Amon-Ra St. Brown, but in a similar role where you can line him up in the slot as like a bigger power slot guy. You can put him outside. He can flex around. I don't know that Tet has that same capability. And I just worry that we see Tet fall into more of that Jordan Addison tier, whereas I think Egbuka can kind of be, a younger 3 years ago, even younger than that 3 years ago, Keenan Allen type wide receiver that just gets by on a ton of volume and offers more after the catch, I think, than Keenan did.
Yeah. I mean, Evan and I talked about it. We think Egbuka is a no-fail prospect, super high floor. He's going to stick around the NFL for a while. Evan, any concerns with him as the early first?
Yeah, early first, I wouldn't be putting him in that category. I'd be putting him in that mid to late first category. Personally, he's still my wide receiver 2 in the class, though, Jake. It just should tell you how much more I appreciate and love these running backs and how the tight end class is even factoring into these first round picks.
Yeah, I mean, I get it and I understand it. I just think Egbuka deserves to be in this tier of player. I think, like I said, he's my wide receiver 1. I would take him before I'd take Tet. I would take him as early as the 102 pretty comfortably. So for me, it's just I get Tet probably has the higher upside. Ceiling is probably like more athletic. I don't know if more athletic's the right term. Higher upside T. Higgins, like, second half of last year T. Higgins, not so much first half of last year T. Higgins. I just, like I said, I just worry about the overall skill set of Tet. I think a lot of people are overrating or, overhating, I should say, his skill set and are just bored and looking for reasons to be mad at him as a prospect. It's just, again, the Justin Herbert thing. We love these guys forever. We got to find a reason to hate him eventually. And I think that's where we're at. Egbuka is just comfortably my guy.
I love both of these prospects. I vote we're going to keep them in the early first, but landing spot's going to dictate a lot because let's say one of them ends up on the Steelers. Let's say one of them ends up on the Chargers and gets a huge boost. Let's say one of them ends up in Cincinnati, Arizona. Like there's a couple of places where it could get really freaky in there. So pure talent. I like the floor of Egbuka. I like the ceiling of McMillan. As the judge, as the third person here, I'll call it. Is it my turn now, Evan?
Yeah, Mike, come on.
All right. Well, I'll just go ahead. I'll take the RB3 in the class. I'll put him. I also think
RB2.
early first consideration. Depending on the update of my roster, how it's looking, like I think between Hampton, Henderson, and then landing spot dependent for the other two in the top 5, like these are just running backs that I want to chase, running backs that I'm excited about. And I feel good with an early first round grade on basically everyone in this tier right now. Does anyone disagree?
I alluded to it. This is my RB2,
Yep.
and I think he's closer to Genty than Hampton is in terms of fantasy upside. I think Hampton is the safer prospect. I think it's kind of the thing we're talking about with my thoughts on McMillan and Egbuka. I think Hampton is safer. I think Henderson could be a game changer fantasy player. And he's an elite pass blocker, and I don't think people give him enough credit for that. So he will stay on the field consistently.
I'm going to put together a little mashup of that, which I did that for Ollie Gordon. I put clown music over it. It's a very different vibe.
Understand, Mike. Understand. All right. I am out of anybody that I value as a early first round player. Is there anybody else that you guys would like to add to this list before we move on to the mid to late first?
Early in the process,
because I'm pretty clear.
Burden would have been closer, but there's buzz that he could fall out of the first round. Hunter, we did the prospect profile on him. If he goes to a place where we're pretty confident he's playing wide receiver, I think he's also in there, but I'm good calling it as it is.
Same. Yeah. I just, for the longest time, I didn't even rank Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
He would be my wide receiver 3 in this class, probably pushing Tet for wide receiver 2. I just don't think he's going to play a ton of wide receiver in the NFL.
Oh, if you told me that Hunter was going to play over 75% of the offensive snaps, I might at this point be pushing him to 1 at my wide receiver, but he's very clearly 2, pushing it down if he does that. But it's fine, Mike. You can.
Yeah,
we're just going to make a Travis Hunter tier. Okay. Travis Hunter is the clear wild card.
Yeah.
Where he goes in your rookie draft is very much going to be dependent on the reports that come out of whatever team drafts him. People are going to be looking at the depth chart of whatever team drafts him, trying to figure out, hey, is he going to be a wide receiver 1, a wide receiver 2? Is he going to have to be the cornerback 1? Is he going to be the cornerback 2? Is he going to be able to be the 2 on both sides of the ball, which may give him more snaps that he can take off where they can rotate someone else in to that position? It'll be a really interesting draft cycle to see what happens to Travis Hunter because he will be an absolute wild card in your drafts.
Yeah, it is what it is with him. It's unfortunate. I mean, honestly, we're doing this at a great time just because, like, even consensus mock drafts for the NFL draft are shifting so heavily. Like, if you look at the NFL mock draft database, there's not a wide receiver in the first round. Tet, Egbuka, and Burden are all out of the first round over the last week anyway. So, if Hunter goes somewhere where he could, fringe in as a, wide receiver 3 in certain sets year 1, I think people are going to overdraft him. He's an avoid for me, but I understand the love.
See the vision. Evan, you want to put up another name? I feel like we hijacked the Hunter one.
Okay, yeah, Hunter. At this point, look, one Travis Hunter in that mid to late first range, assuming that he's going to get at least 50% of the offensive snaps. That should be the range that he goes in. But this is my Penn State guy. This is Tyler Warren. Even if you tell me there is no premium, we are still talking a mid to late first round pick. He is a potential difference maker. He is a guy that could have a future as a top 6 tight end for multiple seasons because of his versatility, because of his job on the line. He's able to stay in on all downs. He's a former quarterback, which makes it all the better because he is a quarterback's best friend as a former quarterback, understands what they're going to be looking at, how they're going to be seeing the defense. And he's got fantastic hands. He uses his body incredibly well. He gets himself open. He's faster than linebackers, bigger than safeties, most definitely bigger than corners. Okay.
Jeremy Shockey, next.
I could see it. Honestly, a lot of similarities there.
All right.
I would honestly be comfortable pushing him early first if he wasn't old. It's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
He's just a little bit old.
Let's get running here. Jake, mid to late first. Who else you got in this tier?
I'm going to go with Matthew Golden. He's really flown up a lot of people's draft boards. I've always been a little bit higher on him than consensus. I think the athletic profile plays super well. The skill set, obviously, Texas's offense is never going to give us a great example of what players are capable of in the NFL. It's just not great. Like, let's be honest. It's your typical college offense. Like every once in a while, we get a flash of some pro style stuff. Otherwise, it's pretty meh. But I mean, we're talking about a guy who has the athleticism to beat man coverage, even though he wasn't really asked to do it a ton. As you know, a true vertical threat. He can play outside. He can play in the slot. You can line him up in the backfield and do some weird stuff with him. You know, he's pushing an 80% or 80th percentile win rate versus zone coverage. Basically elite on almost all vertical and horizontal routes. Like, don't ask him to do a comeback. He can't do that. But just about anything else that you ask him to do, he can do. And I think his athletic testing really surprised a lot of people. Didn't really surprise me. But dude's good. I think he's what people hoped Xavier Worthy was.
I mean, his athletic testing shouldn't have surprised too many people because if I remember correctly, Prize Picks opened him up at a 4.31, somewhere around there. So yeah, people thought that he was fast, and then he got steamed to be, he's slow, and then shocker, he ran fast. But moving right along, Mike, who else you got in this tier?
Yeah, I'll just keep. If you guys have listened to the pod before, running backs. Listen, I did a Judkins film study. I didn't walk away as impressed. I think it's boiling down to there's Genty, then there's Hampton and Henderson, and there's Judkins and Johnson, each with their own specific tiers. And then we'll see how draft capital and landing spot shakes those out. But he's going to be a very good early down grinder. He's way better in pass pro than people give him credit for. I just wish he would stop trying to alligator arm catches.
Yeah. Great to hear. Very valid points. I'm going to go with a guy that's dropped a little bit since the combine in Caleb Johnson. More attainable price at this point. Iowa running back. We know what Iowa running backs do. They produce in college. They get given a heavy workload. He's shown that he can carry that heavy workload. He's shown that he has some hands out of the backfield. He's shown that he can run through tackles. That Iowa offensive line, people think that it's always a great offensive line. It was a very middling offensive line this past season. So he did have to do a chunk of work to be able to get the explosive plays that he did this past season.
Yeah, you're telling me that I can get a 21-year-old that's built like a bowling ball at the 110, 111? Sign me up.
Yep. All right, Jake.
I also want to say underrated part of Caleb Johnson's game. He didn't fumble last year.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about one of the most secure ball handlers in the game? It's Caleb Johnson. And if you were expecting anything more than him being like fancy David Montgomery, you were asking for too much anyway.
We love fancy David Montgomery.
We do. I do.
Jake, I'm assuming looking at you right now, I'm seeing your wheels turning. You probably got someone else to go in this tier, don't you?
I do. I just don't know if I actually want to do it.
Do it.
But I think I'm going to do it. It's going to depend on draft capital and if he sneaks into the first round. I think Jackson Dart's quarterback 2 in the class.
Seconded. All right. So I'm gonna hop over Jake real quick. I'm deeply sorry. Before we were doing draft capital projections and things like that, I had Jackson Dart as quarterback 2. And then you start hearing the buzz. Shedeur Sanders is definitely going 2 overall. It's Shedeur. Look, if Shedeur goes number 2, I'm going to have to eat some crow. If Jackson Dart goes in the second, yes, I will follow the draft capital there. But at that point, I'm pushing both of them way down. Jake, I'm on board.
I will say consensus mock draft database right now has Jackson Dart going 21st overall to the Steelers.
With DK Metcalf and George Pickens? That's a good landing spot.
I'm just saying. I honestly, probably the most underrated quarterback landing spot in the class. It's not often teams are picking that late, and a rookie quarterback can come in and start right away. Dart can do that.
Yep.
Plus, it means they don't have to pay Aaron Rodgers, which would be funny.
So we'll put a little anecdote on here. If you just see the screenshot, you won't know. But if Jackson Dart goes in the first round, mid to late first, this is the Bo Nix corollary to draft capital.
It's one circle.
All right, Mike. Well, you jumped over Jake to talk a little bit here about Jackson Dart. So we'll give you another chance to try and add somebody to this mid to late first if you feel like anybody else deserves to be there.
I would like to put, and this is why we talk about the early seconds being worth more. We already have, 6? We're already at 12, but I'm going to put Luther Burden up there. Look, I understand the concerns. People think that he's a gadget guy, yada, yada, yada. He moves different. He's built like a tank. He can run after the catch, and he runs a more diverse route tree than people give him credit for. You just have to go back and dig. If you look at just the 2024 tape, obviously it looks disgusting. The whole Mizzou offense looked disgusting. Kid can play. I'm on board. Any concerns?
Production. No. People are slapping him down because of the production. If you think that Brady Cook was not the reason why the production slipped, you are a fool.
I got some beans to sell you.
All right. Well, cool. I'm gonna take charge here and finally put Shedeur Sanders in that mid to late first. Look, the hype is there. The name is there. Even if I don't think that he is a great quarterback as a prospect, slightly lesser Tua is where I currently think he's going to slot in. He has the name cachet. He is going to have dynasty gamers that are going to see the name. They're going to want the name. He's going to be able to hold value for you. And when you're taking somebody in the late part of the first, I'm not saying he's a mid first by any way, shape, or form. We're talking that 110 to 112 range. If you're deciding between Luther Burden and a quarterback in a Superflex league that should have at least a couple seasons of quarterback 2 numbers, that is a valuable asset that you will be able to get off of if you don't want them anymore. So give me Shedeur Sanders.
The Kenny Pickett corollary.
I was about to say, people were arguing that Kenny Pickett was good for like 3 years with me. He wasn't. I don't care if Sanders ends up being just slightly better than Kenny Pickett. People were arguing with me that he's worth a first plus that Pickett was worth a first plus for multiple years after we knew he was garbage. So,
to be clear, Sanders is a better prospect than Pickett.
Oh, 100%.
But not by that much, which is tough.
I've hit the end of my tiers of this first round tier. Mike, Jake, you guys have anybody else that you would like to try and shove up into this first round? Mind you, we already have over 12 players in this first round.
I have one more name in mind. Jake, do you have anybody?
You say yours, and we'll see if it's the same.
It's Colston Loveland. I mean, guys, he's a good tight end. I was less impressed than I thought I would be, but I think the hype around him, the excitement around him, he's probably going in the first round. Worst case scenario, you throw a late first, early second at him. He doesn't pan out. You find the Michigan fan in your league. You go flip him for the exact same price you just bought him for. It would be hard for me to pass on him at the 203, 204, which is that same tier of people. There are other people I would rather prioritize, which are the guys that we have ahead of him, but I think he's in the same consideration. And with draft capital and landing spot in mind, he could easily jump a couple of guys.
Argument against Mike is if we're talking a no tight end premium, if we're talking a 0.25 tight end premium, even if we're talking a 0.5 tight end premium, the tight ends historically don't get steamed up in the startup drafts nearly as much as if you're saying it's a full point premium. At which point, yes, Colston Loveland is clearly in the first round consideration. 0.75, sure, he's clearly in that first round consideration. But I would very much like to stand for him being a further pick down the road for us here.
Jake, final decision.
Yeah, I'm on Mike's team here. Loveland's a dog. I don't even like Michigan. I joke that it seems like all my friends are Michigan fans, and I'm a Notre Dame fan. So we just argue about tight ends all the time. And then, I guess, Chase Claypool. But he probably should have been a tight end. But Loveland's a dog. He absolutely – my opinion here, if Luther Burden is in first round consideration, Loveland is too. I think they're that level of game changer at their position if they hit ceiling.
Cool. Okay. Well, cool. So wrapping it up, first round, we have the 101 Ashton Genty. We have the early first consideration in Cam Ward, Amarion Hampton, Emeka Egbuka. We have Travion Henderson, and then we also have Tet McMillan in there. We have the crazy what's going to happen, where's he going to go, Travis Hunter tier. Just make it your wild card. That's your Joker tier. Anything could happen. You never know when the Joker's in play. So mid to late first tier, we have Tyler Warren. We have Matthew Golden. We have Quinshad Judkins. We have Caleb Johnson. We have Jackson Dart with a surprise appearance here. Shador Sanders, Luther Burden, and Colston Loveland all joining that first round tier. Any other thoughts on the first round, guys?
No, I mean, it's a deep-ish class. I think the cutoff between the Henderson or Hunter, depending on how that goes, and the rest of the class is tough. And then it just bleeds over for a while. I think this next tier is going to get real gross real quick.
I disagree on that part. I think this tier gets really fun really quick.
We're going to have a lot of names that we all have a very good argument for. So gross, fun. You'll get
It's why I wore body armor. I'm ready to go to war.
All right. Well, cool. Getting into round two, we're here. We're looking at these prospects. Jake, as our newest co-host, start us off with your second round considerations.
Yeah, I'm going to piss Mike off right away. Bashal Tutin absolutely has to be up there. I get what everybody's saying, right? He fumbles a lot. He doesn't always pick the right holes.
That's fine.
There's not a running back in this class with more explosive play upside than him. Physical talent, get him in a decent offensive line. Just tell him, hey, if we didn't have Devon Achane in Miami and Tutin got drafted by Miami, everybody would be arguing for him. I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people would be arguing for him up at running back 2, just off of landing spot alone. He's more landing spot dependent for me. But once we're in these tier of players, I much rather target high athletic upside than floor. If I miss on, a mid second, I don't really care. I'd rather just take the guy who could become something great, even if he does have a ton of flaws. And there's just simply no denying his athletic profile. It's elite.
Resident Hokie fan. if you want a small, speedy guy who sucks at catching the pass and can't pass pro, that's Tootin. The athletic profile is exceptional. I do think he is in second round consideration. I see the ceiling, but I also see the floor, and it is low, brother. So this is the highest range of outcome guy outside of Travis Hunter in the draft for me. I'm rooting for him, but I'm scared.
I agree. But like I said, this is where I'm not taking shots like this when with premium draft capital. For me, premium draft capital kind of ends after like 109, 110, depending on the class in most cases.
Just having fun.
Yeah. Like literally, if we think back to, what was that? Like the Zach Charbonnet class, it basically was like it hit 108 and then it was like, take the running back you like.
Very fair.
All right, Mike, next on the list, who are you going to put in this second round consideration?
Oh, Lordy. I'll just go ahead and take the exact opposite version of running back. Cam Scattaboo, however you want to say it. Dude, he's just good at football. He's not the fastest boy in the world. He's not going to have 90-yard runs in the NFL. But he can handle a workload if he ends up in a situation where they need him to be the first and second down grinder. I see the goal line vision. I also, he can catch passes. He can pass pro. He pass pros with just his helmet, but he can. There are things to like in his game that I can see a path to relevance. It could be just a bunch of dump off passes, the James Connors of the world, where he ends up scoring a bunch of fantasy points, but doesn't look sexy doing it.
Sweet. Appreciate that. I'm going to go with the tight end once again, and we're going to go Elijah Arroyo.
Oh, brother.
That's the wrong third tight end.
Oh, brother.
Oh, no. Okay.
Already?
Why? No, come on. Tell me why.
For the wrong tight end or already this early?
No, wrong tight end, Jake.
Oh.
Harold Fannin is better.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I'm going to bounce.
Honey. We got some issues here. No, Elijah Arroyo is the weapon that you want at tight end for fantasy football, especially if you're talking about a league with no premium. If you're talking about a league with a 0.25 premium, you want the guys that are going to be able to play tight end, that are going to be able to have that breakout game where they have 2 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown. That's Elijah Arroyo. It can convince me the athleticism isn't there. Hearing no things because, I'm leading this show right now. So we're going to move on and say, Jake, you can go. And you're not allowed to talk about Elijah Arroyo anymore. No slanders allowed.
All right, that's fine. I'll pick the real tight end 3 in the class, Harold Fannin. He no, I like Arroyo too. I just think you can't deny what Fannin did last year. One of the most prolific receiving seasons we've ever seen out of a college tight end. I understand people want to knock on his athleticism, blah, blah, blah. He falls in a tier of athleticism that's still very good in terms of NFL success. His RAS score is over 7. He's still a top 30 percentile tight end we've ever seen athletically. He's my guy. He's my guy at the position. Actually, he's not my guy at the position. There's one other guy who's my guy at the position, but I digress.
Jake, I love you. So I'm not going to try to move him out, but I am going to present something to our listeners and to you. Is he truly a tight end at the next level? Can he play the Y?
I don't see why he can't.
He can't block.
That's fine. Travis Kelce doesn't have to block anymore.
Is he Travis Kelce?
No.
Is he Evan Ingram?
I think he's close.
I think he's closer to Isaiah likely than anybody else, and maybe that's what he ends up doing, and that's fantastic. I don't see the path where he is ever a top 12 fantasy tight end. With Arroyo, I could see a Njoku type breakout. He ends up going to the right team, size, athleticism, all of those fun, sexy things. I think Fannin is too much of a tweener, and he's not a better receiver than receivers, and he's not a good enough tight end to play tight end. His NFL role scares me, which is why I'm probably the biggest Fannin hater out here, but that's fine.
I get it. I disagree, but I get it.
But he's cool. That's why I picked a cool picture of him hurdling a dude.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, let's get that disgusting taste out of our mouth and move on over here with a better player.
Right. Yep.
Be taking with your second round picks.
I'm just going to start the fun journey that I have. Did I even upload a picture of him? I'm looking for Dylan Sampson, but while I'm looking, let's go ahead and throw up another one of my guys, DJ Giddens. Look, it's the second round of your draft. Pick the running backs with good measurables. Pick the running backs with good production profiles. There's an unholy amount of them in this class. I just think DJ Giddens has the sauce, and there's a group of running backs that I think can play. Draft capital and landing spot will separate them for me.
I really appreciate you doing that, Mike, because I'm going to very quickly add Dylan Sampson to the board here.
Oh, let me find him. But
guess who I was going to add next?
Where is he?
All right, so Dylan Sampson, he got plenty of exposure at Tennessee. Many people saw him, which I'm a big believer that bias gets formed from any kind of narrative from college. Dylan Sampson had that narrative. He was at Tennessee. The team loved him. He's a great culture fit for whatever team he ends up being on, which tells me that he should be able to stick around the league for a very long time. Pair that with the fact that multiple offensive linemen for Tennessee said that he's better than Jalen Wright. Take that for what you may. But, Mike, we talked about this previously with Dylan Sampson. His short yardage game, he knows how to find a hole. He knows how to get skinny through it. He knows how to pick up first downs in short yardage situations. So people that knock his size, just go look at the tape. He's still picking up those first downs even in short yardage.
The funniest short yardage back in NCAA last year, just squeaking past. It almost looked like Deuce Vaughn, but like bigger, where he was just defenders would lose him as he hid behind his guards. Big fan.
Dog.
All right, Jake.
We got to get Trey Harris in here. I mean, we have to.
Very fair.
Elite athlete, solid productive season with the help of Jackson Dart. Depending on where Dart gets drafted, Harris is going to fall in a beautiful range to be a complimentary pick to just give Jackson Dart a guy he knows, a guy he likes, and he's got the skill set to back it up. It wouldn't surprise me to see Harris as an early second round pick, especially if the other three wide receivers we've kind of really dove in on jump up into the first round again.
No complaints. But I'm going to, real quick, I think it's my turn. I'm going to put the real wide receiver 6 in here. Alec Ayomanor, dog.
Love him too.
Run blocks like a freaking hoss. Put 200 yards up on Travis Hunter. I know Hunter was hurt, but it's still sick. If you want a receiver that can take over a game, it's Ayomanor. I just wish he did it more often.
Valid.
All right. Yeah, I'm probably about to get a lot of flack for this pick.
Oh, brother.
Yep. All right, Mike. Yeah, be prepared. We're going to go with Jalen Milroe because at this point, if you say very end of the second, you're giving me a quarterback that has a potential to start in 2 seasons after sitting on my taxi squad for a little bit and has a potential to run for over 900 yards. Like, he has elite athleticism at the quarterback position. We saw what Justin Fields did as a runner. He is nowhere near the passer that Justin Fields is. And we've seen what the NFL does to Justin Fields. He's getting another shot, but Jalen Milroe will have multiple seasons, hopefully, to be able to grow, to be able to work on his footwork, to be able to work on his decision-making. Can an NFL coaching staff be able to fix some of the things in the passing game to make him a slightly below average passer where his elite rushing game will be able to make him fantasy viable?
Name 2 teams he can go to that he will start.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want him to start year 1, Mike.
Name 2 teams he'll start in 2026.
Put him on the Steelers. The Rams.
Rams got to kind of be up there.
The Rams would be very fun.
It would be a very fun offense, would it not?
I think McVay would hate him.
Yeah.
I would love to see him go to New York. with a 3rd round pick, go to New York or something like that?
Which one? The Jets, Giants, or Bills?
The Giants.
Okay.
I was thinking the Jets, actually.
Study under Justin Fields, learn from the 32nd best passer in the league.
Hey, y'all know how I feel about Justin Fields. You bet what?
Justin Fields is mentioned.
I love it.
But yeah, no, I support it. Landing spot dependent, draft capital dependent. The upside is crazy. This is Malik Willis part 2. Like, maybe he starts and it's sick.
I mean, Malik Willis was a top 10 quarterback for 1 week last year. Was he not?
It was sick.
It felt sick to draft him too. Like you felt sick doing it, which is how I feel about Milroe. But I'm going to get outvoted here. He would fall under names to know for me. That's how little I trust the ability of NFL teams to properly fix quarterback play. Yeah. But that's another tirade for another episode.
All right, Jake. Anybody else to add to this tier?
Yep, I got to stick with my elite athletic guys. Jalen Noel's got to be here too. Hot take. I think the most common comp we get for Jalen Noel, athletic-wise, size-wise, skill set-wise, is Jaden Reed. I think Jalen Noel is better as a prospect than Jaden Reed was.
Yep. I support it. I
would take Jalen Noel over Cam Scatabo, personally.
I don't hate that.
Scatabo, sorry. Apologies.
You know, the announcers in college football called it Scatabo, and now everybody's saying Scatabo. It's confusing. I'm going to throw Higgins up there, too, while we're talking. So somebody presented this on Twitter. I think it was like Hayden Winks at Underdog. Shout out. I know you're listening, Hayden. But so are Noel and Higgins better prospects than Leggett and Keon Coleman?
Easily.
They went 32 and 33 last year.
I think they're better than Pearsall, who went in the first round.
That's what I'm saying. So I think we are severely underrating these two cats. And I think they're gonna have a bit of a rise. I know that I haven't been the biggest guy on the two of them, but
there you go, Mike.
I do. When it was presented to me that way, I do think they are better than all 3 of those prospects. I like the running backs more, but I see the vision.
My argument for this wide receiver group has always been NFL teams are going to love them, and we're going to have to like them because of it.
That's a great seg.
All right, Mike. Keep us rolling here. Anybody else to add to the tier?
Oh, baby. I have like 19 more running backs. I would like to put another running back on up there. I finally found Dylan Sampson since he was buried. I would like to put Damian Martinez forward. I'm open to the idea of pushing him back. I get it. But can play ball, prototypical size, back-to-back 1,000 yards rushing in 2 very different schemes. I see the vision. And with a running back like this, he goes to the right spot. He could be a workhorse. He could also just be a backup that's very good. And I'm okay taking a backup that's very good with my, 208, 209. Like, go get you a handcuff, throw him at the bottom of your 45-player bench, and just have a player you can start when the starter gets hurt.
He's young, more explosive Brian Robinson.
That's sick.
Yeah. Brian Robinson was a top 6 running back for like the first 7 weeks of the year.
And then he rolled his ankle, and I think Brian Robinson's due for a big bounce back. Another episode. Let's roll.
All right. I'm done with my second round players. So, Jake, if you have anybody else that you would like to add, be my guest.
Landing spot dependent. I still really like Devin Neal.
I support it.
That's all I'm going to say about that. It's landing spot dependent. I don't think there's a lot of jobs that he can take year one, but I think he can work in effectively as a second back with the potential of being the guy in a year or two.
Okay. Mike, anybody else to add?
Oh, man. My heart wants to put in a couple of people. I'm just going to say 2 names and give me your initial thoughts. These are 2 of the most divisive names in wide receivers in the draft. Jack Besh and Jalen Royals.
Thirds.
Seconds.
We're putting them in the second round. It's 2-3, baby. But I think that effectively closes out the tier. Again, the wide receivers are going to be where are they going? What's the opportunity they have in front of them? The running backs, you'll be able to sort them by that, but all of them are good enough prospect profiles. I'm comfortable taking them in the second round, even if it's just via handcuff.
Well, cool. Appreciate that. That helps to fill out our second round. Mike, can you do that second round recap for us? Just go over for everybody listening who all's in that tier.
Yeah, for you audio only guys, first of all, get off of Spotify, get off of Apple, come on over to the YouTube. It's YouTube.com/FFRPG. Too easy. Hit like, hit subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But we have in second round consideration, Bayshal Tootin, Cam Scadaboo, Elijah Royal, and Harold Fannin, the 2 tight ends that everyone will fight about. DJ Giddens, Dylan Sampson, Trey Harris, Elike Manor, Jalen Milroe, Vomit, Jalen Knoll, Jaden Higgins, Damian Martinez, Devin Neal, and then Jack Besh and Jalen Royals. There's a lot of names in there that we can be really excited about. I have a question for the two of you. Are there any of these names that you think could pop into late first consideration and jump over some of those guys?
Yeah, if a running back gets a crazy landing spot, that's going to push. You're talking into the second round, Mike. No?
Oh, I'm saying let's say Jalen Milroe goes 35 to the Giants, and it's Jameis, Russ, and Milroe.
Okay, whatever. But Cam Scadaboo is the running back that people love. They saw the run in the college football playoffs. If he gets decent draft capital, meaning round 2, early round 3 draft capital, people are going to push him up into that first round.
Cool.
Yeah. I would say either of the tight ends, either Fannin or Arroyo, I think could get up there if they end up being late first. And if Knoll or Trey Harris end up early second of the actual NFL draft, I think we're going to have a lot of conversations about them. It's like how Pearsall snuck up out of nowhere.
Yep. The Lad McConkey versus Ricky Pearsall conversations.
So dumb. I'll fight anybody on that.
Dads for Lad. Let's roll.
Well, great. Love that second round debate. That was fantastic. Moving on to the third round here. All right, Jake, start us off.
Yep. One guy is just standing out to me like an absolute sore thumb. And if he's on the board in the third, I'm taking him. It's Isaiah Bond. The upside, we know what it is. We're talking about a guy who was like people's wide receiver 2 coming into the year. I get the tape wasn't great. Find me one Texas wide receivers tape that like just showed everything you wanted it to. You
A.D. Mitchell.
All right, show me one Steve Sarkisian offense where the tape showed us everything that we needed to see. You can't do it. I still think there's a role for him in the NFL. Maybe he follows the Darnell Mooney path. Maybe he doesn't. I'm taking shots in the third.
He is a lesser version of MVS.
I was going to say my only concern is that his skill set leads him to being very useful for an NFL team. You love having twitched up fast athletes that you can say, hey, defense, you need to put your safeties over there or I'm going to throw 100 passes to Isaiah Bond. They're just going to roll their safeties. He's going to disappear into the mist, and then Jalen Knoll's going to get all the targets underneath him. It'll be sick. Patriots, follow me for draft strategies.
Well, great, Mike. Somebody. Hey. They're trying to do some things, all right?
Stephon Diggs, baby.
Back to the topic at hand. Mike, third round targets. Who are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just throw in another let's throw in a running back that I think he's going to have some name value tied to him. I think he is a situational runner. If you guys have watched the All-22 film study, look, he's not sexy. He's not fast, but he does get what's in front of him when it is in front of him. He doesn't get it if it's not. Ollie Gordon just presents a lot to an NFL offense that they will like. And look, if you can get a handcuff in the third, that is a sick pick.
Yeah, Mike, absolutely love that. Handcuffs, sure. If he goes to a great offense, if he's in a timeshare offense, man, if he goes to one of those landing spots, though, that we'll be talking about in some RB landing spots later on, he could be in absolute dead zone. But what we're going to do is we're going to say Mason Taylor. Tell me if you heard this story. Oh, right. NFL Bloodlines. Oh, right. LSU player. Okay, cool. He is a better tight end for an NFL franchise than he will be for fantasy. But he will stick around the league. He will continue to get opportunities. And should he really be outside of a top 24 tight end? I don't think so. I think
if you're playing in a 2 tight end league and you're a sicko like us.
Valid.
Look, or if you just want a backup tight end that people could think, oh, they have some name cachet. Oh, they have some youth on their side. Oh, they are a tight end that has reliable hands that could potentially be peppered with some targets in that very short, hey, run 5 yards, turn around and catch the ball type of role. Mason Taylor could be your guy. It's a 3rd round pick. I'm looking for guys that are going to be able to stick on my roster.
I have another tight end in the same boat, so I support it.
Let's just do 3 tight ends in a row then.
Cool.
All right, Jake. Who's your next tight end?
It's Luke Lachey. And it's a different thing that you're talking about. For me, it's Iowa tight end I draft. And pretty much end of story there. I'll take a shot on these guys. Look, I get it. Easy production. It's Iowa. I don't care. He's got athleticism. He's got an elite RAS score. Dude can do everything that you need him to do, and you can develop him to do the things he can't really do, which is mostly blocking. It's kind of his worst part of it. But I think if you want to make the argument, I'll make it with you that I think Luke Lachey might have the second most upside of any tight end that we didn't talk about prior to the 3rd round. I think there's one guy who has more upside than him, and I think that's who Mike might end up going with here. But I think I might have also stolen Lachey from him.
You did not steal Lachey from me. I have no like when you watch Luke Lachey, you're like, that is an NFL player. And then you watch him after the injury and you're like, man, he kind of hurt. And then he gets healthy and you're like, that's an NFL player. Then he gets hurt again and you're like, oh man, I don't know. And then it's just a ping pong back and forth. I have the antithesis to that. Along the same lines as Mason Taylor. Dude, Gunnar Helm, it's another one in the we'll call it the Dallas Cowboys circle of hate, Jake Ferguson, Dalton Schultz, just even old Jason Witten.
Dogs.
They can play football, and they know how to block, and they know how to sit down in zones, and they know how to present themselves well. He outproduced Isaiah Bond while they were on the field together. He gets open, and he catches the ball, and he doesn't do a lot with it. But he's going to stick around an NFL roster for a while. If the team doesn't have a very good starting tight end, we could see a Pat Freiermuth type season from him. If they do have other receivers in their area, he'll still be on the roster and you can plug him in for bye weeks.
I was about to say, he's what people hoped Pat Freiermuth was going to be.
So mean, but yeah.
It's valid. I never liked Pat.
So much shade. You just want to throw that other tight end up there that you wanted to talk about? You talking about Terrence Ferguson?
Yeah, I mean, again, elite athlete. What's not to love about a tight end who's an elite athlete? I'll pretty much take those shots more often than I won't. That's why I have so much Theo Johnson. It's great. It's fun. They get a role. Hey, the starter gets hurt. They get 2 or 3 games with this starter. I flip him for a second. I spent the 3rd on him. I win. I call it a day.
Profit.
Take the profit and run.
Bingo.
That's what we like to do. Okay. Next guy I'm going to say is an old man in RJ Harvey. Look, efficient in the receiving game, did not do a ton from a volume standpoint, but he was efficient. You look at his long runs, you look at what he did against the competition that he was playing against. It's the 3rd round. You're trying to take some home run swings. RJ Harvey could be that home run swing. There's not a ton to really say other than we're taking swings at running backs that are going to be on 53s that could potentially get a role in season.
I, in a recent article for Last Word on Sports, comped him to fun-sized Tyrone Tracy for a lot of reasons. In the right situation, he could be very fun.
Very valid.
he could also fumble a whole bunch and get replaced very easily, like Tracy might be. But, live by the third round, die by the third round.
Okay. Jake, continue this on.
Yeah, if we're talking about home run swings in the third round, we got to talk about Quinn Ewers. I mean,
maybe.
If we're going to make the argument for Jalen Milroe that somebody can fix the problems, I get Ewers doesn't have the athleticism of a Jalen Milroe. He's got a better arm, in my opinion, than Jalen Milroe in terms of ceiling arm talent potential. I'll take shots on quarterbacks in the third round. Best case scenario, I get a couple Will Levis seasons out of him and I flip him for more. But it's the thing with quarterbacks, if they ever get even a couple weeks as a starter, you can probably get a second round pick for him, if not a late first. I'll take those chances at this point in the draft.
You could have traded Spencer Rattler for a second round pick recently.
I did.
Wild.
He was named a starter. I put him on the block. I got 3 offers in a minute. I just picked the second from the worst team.
What's wild to me, well, we did the early 2025 rankings way back when. A lot has changed since then. Quinn Ewers, when he is on, looks like an NFL quarterback. He's dealing. He's running the offense. He's keeping everything in rhythm. He's going through his reads. Dude, he gets hit a couple of times. You see the butterflies start coming out. I don't know if you can fix that.
He's Derek Carr.
Derek Carr is better. Come on.
He's more sad Derek Carr, which is tough.
Okay. He's the perfect mix of Derek and David then. He's got the fear that David had with the talent upside that Derek has.
We'll take that. Evan, I have a couple of running backs that I'd like to bring forward.
Okay.
Can I rapid fire these?
Oh, yeah. Go for it, Mike. Come on.
We got Woody Marks. We got Brashard Smith. We got LaQuint Allen. We got Jordan James. And all of them are the same thesis, with the exception of maybe LaQuint Allen has a little more on first and second down. You just want the pass catching running back that can do cool things. In a PPR league, you're talking about a couple of guys. I don't know if you guys know this. Brashard Smith was asked to try out as a wide receiver at the combine because he's that sick at catching the ball. Jordan James, people said that he was better than Bucky Irving coming out of Oregon camps. That's ridiculous, but he's still very good. And then Woody Marks, he can catch the ball. He's a good check down target. These are bye-week fill-in running backs if they're in that third down role, which in the late third, just tossing darts. Have a good time.
Okay, cool. Well, I really appreciate you putting some guys up there, Mike. You definitely didn't take multiple of the running backs that I was going to hit on right there.
I'm going to make you say Xavier Restrepo at some point.
Well, it may be time to say Xavier Restrepo. No, it's not quite time.
I don't know if it's ever going to be.
He's still running his 40.
Okay, so this is where we start to really get in the questionable range. You want to try and bet on traits. You want to try and bet on production. It depends on what type of player you are for fantasy football. Look, it gets dry very, very quickly. We keep saying, take the running back, take the running back, take the running back. Mike, you just listed multiple running backs right there. I'm going to list one that's going to be a plotter at the NFL level, is going to be a short yardage back in Raheem Sanders.
Oh, I was putting Taj Brooks up there, but same thing.
Yeah, basically the same.
Here, I'll just
used to be called Rocket Sanders as his nickname. Oof, man. If he's a rocket, I'm not quite sure. What's next? A hypersonic missile that goes 4.4. Yeah, Raheem Sanders. He knows how to run. He knows how to find the holes. Efficient in the passing game, which I also appreciated. Multiple colleges, ran multiple offenses, was productive in both offenses that he ran in college. Third round, once again, you're taking swings. This is a guy that could be a goal line back, could fall in for a handful of touchdowns.
I would like to ask both of you a question. Did Rocket Sanders just not give a crap this year? It seemed like he didn't.
Honestly, That's not a terrible way to describe his film from this year.
It just looked like he was out there and he was like, if I'm not getting the ball, like, just you guys got it.
It was like, don't get hurt, don't get hurt, don't get hurt. Okay,
Yep.
Play's over. I'm getting off. See ya.
Yep. Cool.
I'll stick on the running back train if y'all don't mind.
Yeah. Still in the third?
Still in the third. Two guys that I'm definitely interested in at this price. Trevor Etienne and Donovan Edwards. Again, taking swings at athletic upside running backs who have problems with their game. It's not like I'm passing on anything good. We're like 35 players in at this point.
We're 40 players in. We're already flirting with the end of the third round.
We are praying these guys, anybody we take at this point, just makes a roster. Those guys are great athletes who can make a roster. Maybe it's as a special teamer to start. But hey, again, running back, he's got to start like 2 games. I'll flip for a second. I call it a day.
Evan, I will let you be the judge on this. All right. Donovan Edwards lost his job to a converted linebacker at a place where he was on the cover of college football for how hyped up he was. That's a red flag and a half to me. He also needs a seeing eye dog to find the hole. So I'm not touching Donovan Edwards unless it is the 5'10".
He also might need new ankles, knees, and hips. But hey, still ran a 4.40, 1.51 split, elite athlete. I'll take a chance.
Super fast in a straight line. He can't find that straight line on a football field. And then Trevor Etienne, I will give less pushback, but still like never really produced, only produced behind a Georgia offensive line that is sick. If his name was Tony George, would anyone care?
I'd probably like him more.
He's young. Like he's got youth on his side, which fantasy gamers will see somebody that is right around 21 at the time of the NFL draft. Third round, Mike. You can make an argument for it.
For both?
No. Donovan Edwards is undraftable.
9.73 RAS is draftable.
He should not be on an NFL roster. Yes, I will say that, and I will stand on that one.
No, actually, no. Keep Doodoo. I got a couple names I can throw in there. Xavier Restrepo gets his chance to be mentioned.
Slow or bad?
Valid.
All right.
All right. Who else do you guys want to mention? You know, we already talked about Brashard Smith. Can we bring up Jaden Blue?
I'm going to pull a picture for him real quick.
What is his role on an NFL team?
It is the same as Brashard Smith, LaQuinn Allen, Woody Marks. I worry that he declared, also resident Texas fan, he declared because he's afraid of what is coming back to Texas. He will never get the workload that he just got. So he's like, I got to get out there and do my thing. I would put him in the same tier as ETN, who I would put a tier below. But if we're putting him there, they're the same to me.
And that was the argument that I was going to make as well. That very late of the third round, why not take the guy that's fast? Why not take the guy that played at a major college? Why not take the guy that has been in a good offense with incredible running backs around him his entire career? He knows how to win. He's been around it. He knows how to study from other running backs in the room. Take a swing.
We are at 45 prospects without the slower bat, so 47. You guys just want to go 3 more and call it 50?
1 more each. Let's go.
All right.
Damn, I have 2 guys I really like.
Call both of them out. That's fine.
You can take my pick, Jake. Go for it.
Thank God. All right. So if we're going to talk about, some of these guys that, especially at the end of the draft, if their name's there, we got to kind of be interested a little bit. I think Dominic Leavitt and Nick Nash both have to be there. Leavitt gives me, and don't hate me for saying this, he gives me like the bad years of Deontay Johnson. Not like this last year, but like the drop years. The hands are inconsistent. Dude is a smooth route runner. He's creative. Not after, somehow creative before he gets the ball, but has zero creativity afterwards.
That does sound like Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I know. It's shockingly similar. And then Nick Nash is just a guy, like, you can't ignore the type of season he had. I get it. It was for San Jose State. The competition is bad, but that's the kind of thing that NFL teams are like, yeah, we'll give you a shot to make the roster. You can be our wide receiver 4.
I would rather bet on a running back to be a backup and like be the handcuff than wide receivers to maybe make a roster at that point. But like, live your life.
We should also note Nick Nash, converted quarterback. If we're going to give props to the tight ends for it.
All right. We're also going to call out that Nick Nash was born August 2nd of 2000. He is already going to be 25 as a rookie.
Hey, Devon Vele had good games this year.
He certainly existed.
All right. Well, we've talked enough about Nick Nash. Mike, Mr. Cash, bring us home.
Oh, brother. I don't want Tez Johnson. I don't want Ja'Cory Brooks. I don't want Torrey Horton. I'm just gonna throw my boy Will Howard in there for the same reason that Quinn Ewers is up there. I even think that he could be in the same tier as Quinn. There's going to be some coach that falls in love with how he performed during the college football playoff. He looked like a completely different player during that standpoint. So if Will Howard can continue that growth, which it didn't look like he did at Senior Bowl, but like, that's a Senior Bowl. It's weird. Throw it away. Gets States U Capital, gets a wide open landing spot, gets the opportunity to compete to start. Dude, 3rd and 4th round of my rookie drafts, I'm taking a swing.
Cool. If he follows the Mason Rudolph career train, it's a smash pick.
Worth it.
All right, everybody. Well, hey, if you made it this far, we appreciate you sticking around. This is over an hour of watch hours for us, which would be huge as we try and go on our goal of trying to get to 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 watch hours. Who knows? Maybe you guys will help us get there. If you do, we greatly appreciate it. If you could take the time to like, subscribe, help us as we try and get to 1,000 subscribers here, that would be much appreciated. And if you're still up late at night and you're thinking, man, I'm going to be so tired for tomorrow, well, just go over to our friends over at Dubby and use code FFRPG. Try and get some jitterless energy. Mike, I know you've tried it. Jake, have you tried some Dubby yet?
It is on the way to the house. It has been ordered, and I will give a full review.
All right.
Next time.
Well, awesome. We greatly appreciate everybody sticking around for how many did we do, Mike? 50 prospects tonight?
Top 50 Oof. Dynasty Superflex prospects. And there's still guys I want to talk about. We're sickos.
I know. It's that. If you need more proof that we are crazy.
Look, and if you listen to anybody else on their 3rd round advice, why not make it us? 3rd rounds are dart throws. We're just hoping that you're not inebriated trying to make that dart throw. And we're trying to line you up in the right direction to at least hit the board. Get somebody that's going to have some usefulness for your dynasty rosters. But with that, I think it's a night for us. Mike, I love you.
Love you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the Goblins get you.